Tonight, Barack Obama's controversial former pastor throws himself back into the spotlight.
This most recent attack on the black church, it is not an attack on Jeremiah Wright. It is an attack on the black church.
He says that he's just being descriptive, not divisive.
No, no, no. Not God bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible.
Yeah, not so much.
You know, I think the handling of this whole Jeremiah Wright scandal is totally Clintonian. Barack Obama is either freaking out or he's okay with it, because it's a tactic that Bill and Hillary love to use. They expose the issue now with a friendly media. I mean, have you seen the media making excuses for Jeremiah Wright left and right? It comes now, and then when the fall election happens, they can bat it away and say, oh, that's old news. Everybody's already talked about that. Reverend Wright's comments will never be old news, especially since he can't stop talking. This morning, he spoke to the National Press Club, and here's his unique point of view on AIDS.
In your sermon, you said the government lied about inventing the HIV virus as a means of genocide against people of color. So I ask you, do you honestly believe your statement and those words?
Have you read Horowitz's book, Emerging Viruses, AIDS and Ebola? I read different things. As I said to my members, if you haven't read things, then you can't. Based on the Tuskegee experiment and based on what has happened to Africans in this country, I believe our government is capable of doing anything.
That's amazing. Now let's see what the Reverend has to say about America as the new Roman Empire. He compares our soldiers to the Roman legionnaires that killed Jesus.
Can you elaborate on your comparison of the Roman soldiers who killed Jesus to the U.S. Marine Corps? Do you still believe that is an appropriate comparison, and why?
In biblical history, there's not one word written in the Bible between Genesis and Revelation that was not written under one of 6 different kinds of oppression. The Roman oppression is the period in which Jesus was born, and comparing imperialism that was going on in Luke. Imperialism was going on when Caesar Augustus sent out a decree that the whole world should be taxed. They were in charge of the world. Sound like some other governments I know. That yes, I can compare that. We have troops stationed all over the world, just like Rome had troops stationed all over the world, because we run the world. That notion of imperialism is not the message of the gospel of the Prince of Peace, nor God who loves the world.
Boy, I don't want this guy to be the spiritual advisor to my president. I don't know about you. Finally, here's Wright's thoughts on the biblical principle of terrorism, whatever that means.
You have said that the media have taken you out of context. Can you explain what you meant in the sermon shortly after 9/11 when you said the United States had brought the terrorist attacks on itself? Quote, America's chickens are coming home to roost.
Have you heard the whole sermon? Have you heard the whole sermon? No, the whole sermon. That yes or no? No, you haven't heard the whole sermon? That nullifies that question. Well, let me try to respond in a non-bombastic way. If you heard the whole sermon, first of all, you heard that I was quoting the ambassador from Iraq. That's number one. But number two, to quote the Bible, be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever you sow, that you also shall reap. Jesus said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You cannot do terrorism on other people and expect it never to come back on you. Those are biblical principles, not Jeremiah Wright bombastic, divisive principles.
Unfortunately, that assumes that we believe we have been conducting terrorism. Be afraid, America, very afraid. This guy has the ear of possible next president. He ain't speaking to himself. He's talking to a possible president. Back in a second.